Dear devotees, thank you for coming. Haribo. Welcome to our third Prabhupada Night, where we receive the benediction of hearing from Srila Prabhupada's direct disciples. And we're creating a bit of a living room mood where we get to hear from our spiritual uncles and aunts. And the mood is a little informal and loving. And we're very grateful that you've all arrived. If we can ask that you silence your phones so they're not ringing while we're trying to hear. And so, my dear uncles and aunt, I'll request that when you receive the mic for the first time, that you introduce yourself and the year that you were initiated. And the format is one story triggers another story, triggers another story. So we're just hearing past times of Srila Prabhupada. Your time serving with Srila Prabhupada or any experiences you had personally. And the mic will just keep moving back and forth between everyone. So we have Sarvadrik Prabhu, Sarvabhavana Prabhu, Bhagavatam Rita Prabhu, and Subhangi Devi. Hare Krishna, welcome. So, Prabhu.
Just introduce myself?
Yeah, just your name and the year you're initiated, and then a pastime, and then we'll just keep going.
Okay.
A hand will reach out and grab the mic when inspiration is
Okay, good. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pastachadishta. So before speaking, I beg to offer my obeisances to my godbrothers, Sarvabhavana Prabhu, Bhagavatamrita Prabhu, Mother Subhangi, all my godbrothers and godsisters present and not present. My obeisances to all of you, and my obeisances to all of you nice devotees who have come. Do we need to pause, Prabhu?
No.
Okay, good.
YouTube, so you can go with your speed.
All right, good. All right. So my name is Sarvadrik Prabhu, Sarvadrik Das, Anu Das. I was initiated in 1973 in Portland, Oregon. Dinabandhu Prabhu, maybe some of you know Dinabandhu. My revered godbrother Dinabandhu, I'm sitting here today by his mercy. So he was the temple president in Portland, Oregon, where I joined. I didn't have very much association with Srila Prabhupada. In fact, my association was Lavamatra. We read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lavamatra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. That I walked right into Srila Prabhupada's room, thinking that it was a bathroom. I was in Los Angeles Temple. You've been? Los Angeles? Okay. So we arrived at Los Angeles Temple, and we grew up in a very poor temple. So we arrived in New Dwarka. I thought, wow, New Dwarka. The brahmacharis have real dhotis. They even have their own tube of toothpaste. Very opulent here. So we arrived late. The whole West Coast came to see Srila Prabhupada. From Vancouver, BC, Seattle, Washington, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Laguna Beach, San Diego. Whole West Coast of America. Srila Prabhupada was in Los Angeles. So we walked in the temple. I followed my godbrother up the stairs. And here's 4 doors. I open one door and my godbrother's in the bathroom taking bath. I thought, wow, this is New Dwarka. And everyone gets their own bathroom also. So I thought, I'll just go the next door down. But the next door down was not a bathroom. It was Srila Prabhupada's room. So I opened the door and Srila Prabhupada was standing there chanting japa. And he said, yes. And I said, Hare Krishna. And I closed the door. Probably the most stupid thing I ever did my whole life. Srila Prabhupada saying, yes. I should have said, Srila Prabhupada, please bless me. Please instruct me. Please give me the dust of your lotus feet. But I was so shocked to see him standing there, I closed the door. And then I thought, I saw Srila Prabhupada and I didn't even offer my obeisances. I'm such a fool. But his shoes were outside the door. So I put my foolish head on his shoes, took the dust from his lotus seat on my head. And that, Prabhu's and Mataji's, is my personal association with Srila Prabhupada. He said one word to me, yes. I said 2 words to him, Hare Krishna. So someone may ask, how do you go on in spiritual life? You didn't get any association with Prabhupada. I saw him many times. But I get Prabhupada's mercy by hearing from him, by reading his books especially. We sing every day, Chakudhan Diloje Janme Janme Prabhu say. That we want to align our consciousness, our mind, our heart, our being with the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Srila Prabhupada didn't write his books. He spoke his books. His books came from his lotus mouth. So when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, we're as good as sitting in the same room listening to him. And that should be our meditation when we open Srila Prabhupada's books. Now I'm hearing from Srila Prabhupada, he's speaking to me directly. So reading Srila Prabhupada's books, I also am fortunate to do some traveling and preaching. This year we'll do about 150 different satsang programs in the Delhi, NCR, Delhi area. So I get some service, I get to hear from him, and somehow or other, I'm still here sitting with all of you in association of devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. My name is Bhagavat Amrita. I wrote a few things in here. I came in Mayapur 1976. I was initiated in 1976. In Vrindavan, actually, Vrindavan. And then I came next year, 77, I was initiated here in Mayapur, second initiation. Came from Brazil. Quite amazing journey. We came into the jumbo plane. What's supposed to be like a 747, 727. It was a famous plane, it was big. They make the runaway Calcutta airport bigger so this plane could land in there. It was a new type of big plane. So we took New York. I think it went direct to Calcutta or something like that. But it was an interesting journey because from New York we all get together. It was incredible kirtans in the New York, Manhattan Temple. And we went to the temple, they bought prasadam there. So mostly like 90% were devotees in the famous trip. So we bought prasadam, steel containers, round, tall, dal, rice, puris, everything. We'd store. Yes, gulab jamuns, everything.
Buy 2 buckets.
So anyway, was an amazing trip. All devotees at that time perhaps was not as security prone as we have now. So you bring all those things in the plane, and the stewardess, they were helping and everything. So we went there, and there was kirtan going on, and they served the prasadam. And those non-devotees there, they ask also for the prasadam because it looks delicious, because there was halava, that sweet halava, made with beautiful butter and everything. So we took that prasadam, we intoxicated, and we started kirtan. So we started a beautiful kirtan there, and he was rocking that boat, which, by the way, happened to be airplane. So if you know a little bit about airplane, my wife used to work in the airlines. So, when you book your ticket, the computer sparses the people around the plane. They cannot put everybody in one place or the other. That's the weight consideration. So we have a bunch of people all up, going about in the plane, and then the kirtan jumping up and down. And it got really interesting and kind of tasty. You know, after all the halava and everything, got a burned and energy at 30,000 feet. So ding dong, and then the captain, attention, you know, cool down the jumping because the plane was like, you know, it was like, whoa. Okay, not like that, but it was like affecting a little bit the flight course. I think was going to Vaikuntha or something. The plane was like taking its own direction there. We were rocking that plane, that's true. So I remember that. That was the beginning. So once I was in Mayapur, do I have a time frame here or?
No, just one story will trigger another.
Trigger not, okay. Okay, I will stop in the tree, okay? I'm getting there. So we arrived in Mayapur, and after the festival, which I tried to stay, immediately I fell in love with India. I said, I'm going to stay, I'm not going to go back. I don't care what happened, I'm not going to go back. So, but they tell you have to call your president, and the president was in São Paulo. And at that time, to make a phone call all the way to São Paulo, it was an amazing feat. There was a little telephone station in the way to the Chaitanya Mat. There was a little house in there. There was the exchange in there. I spent half a day trying just to call Delhi or something before he could go to New York, Brazil, or whatever, you know. Couldn't do it. So I went to Vrindavan, and there was the first thing I heard in Vrindavan. Okay, this is interesting, you know, it's in the class. And they say that all the trees in the holy Dham, they are Kalpataru trees. Now, trust me, it is true. All the trees, okay, it's not just this tree or that tree. All the trees, they are Kalpataru trees. So I want to really stay in India, so I said, why? What is the normal course of action? Find a tree and ask to stay here, right? It's very simple. So I went around looking for the tree in the path of Parikrama path, and I found this tree where the Prabodhananda Sarasvati is, you know, the Samadhi of Prabodhananda Sarasvati is the tree where Krishna jumped to chastise Kaliya. And I made my request to the tree. And then I went to the Fogal ashram, which we are situated there, and immediately the devotees came and said, they call me my name, which I can't even remember what they call me there, but let's say, you know, Bhagi, you lucky, you're going to stay in India, just like that. Immediately, you know, you're going to stay in India, you're a lucky man. So what happened is, all the devotees left Mayapur because of the festival. You know, they stole all the devotees. Come in my zone, come and do this, let's preach here and there. They all left. So Bhavananda went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, we need men. And all the men left. Prabhupada said, what happened to the men in Mayapur? They all left. So Prabhupada said, well, you know, they're here, you go pick and choose one. But the GBC won't give. They won't allow to give. No, people, they hold to dear life because all the preachers, the best Sankirtan devotees come to the festival. Nobody want to lose a Sankirtan man. So Prabhupada gets the GBC and they agree. Each temple give one devotee, each zone like that, give a devotee from Mayapur. So when they look at me, I was kind of new, you know, this guy, you know, because I paid my own ticket, you know, it was not because of, I was, you know, in distribution that time, not in that much distribution. And they said, this guy, you know, he probably gonna, you know, blow up anyway when he got to Brazil, so let me here. Let him stay here. So I got to stay by the mercy of all the acharyas. I live here.
Hare Krishna. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari. Hare Krishna. My name is Sarva Bhavana Das. I was initiated by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in the year 1975. In the year 1975, in Germany, we had the Schloss at that time and had just joined. And due to some very disturbing facts, the German government wasn't allowing Srila Prabhupada a visa to enter Germany. So I thought that if I'm not able to see my spiritual master, why should I just hang around here? There arose an opportunity that Srila Prabhupada wanted 3 big buses.
Hold the microphone to your mouth.
Due to very strange incidences and events that took place in Germany in 1975, the German government refused to give Srila Prabhupada a visa to enter Germany. So then I thought to myself that this is not a place where I should be at this moment, because if I'm not able to see my spiritual master when he was still on the planet, and especially as a neophyte, it is absolutely imperative that personal association is very much desired. It's desirable. Because what you read in the books is passive instruction. And when you see a Bhagavat, these instructions, even not always in the oral form that you receive, simply His presence can imbibe within a neophyte or anyone a attraction for Krishna. So I was thinking to myself that I need to get out of here. So Srila Prabhupada had wanted to start a preaching project in India with buses. We were already doing that in the West, in Germany at least. I was going on preaching buses. So Srila Prabhupada wanted 3 big buses so that the devotees could go out with these buses preaching, especially to many of the smaller towns that are not always very easy to access. And so we bought 3 second-hand buses, really big, really nice. Mercedes. They were all Mercedes. But they needed a guide to sort of take them through the terrains. The devotees were not at all used to go on road, But I had done this stretch thrice on road, from India to Europe, back, again back like that. So I knew more or less the terrain quite well. And in those days, there were no restrictions as such. What we have now due to civil war and whatever you have it. So they unanimously chose me, come with us. So that was an opportunity I was waiting for. So I accompanied the buses, and it took us a good over 3 weeks stopping. And the timing wasn't very practically chosen, because we started in the beginning of October. And October, as you know, in Europe, autumn already sets in. And we actually had snow on the way, especially in Turkey, in Mount Ararat, which is about 4,000 meters high. It was all covered. So it was an adventurous journey, no doubt. But my intention was not itself the journey, that was all right, but I wanted to actually see Prabhupada, and I wanted to ask him. I had a very special question in my mind. I had read the first book that reached me by divine dispensation was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in 5 features. 5 chapters of Adi Leela. In those days, Srila Prabhupada hadn't completed the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he took these 5 chapters of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which actually introduces Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his mission, his philosophy in encapsulated form. And so I happened to be given this book just in Berlin, at the entrance of a huge supermarket. It's very famous, one of the landmarks in Berlin. It's called KaDeWe. If anyone goes to Berlin, he would definitely be, he'll definitely know where this supermarket is. It's right in the center of the city, and very prominent. Anyhow, so just out of curiosity, I was visiting, and just at the entrance, God's sister, I mean, at that time I wasn't initiated. She became my God sister after initiation. A German Mataji called Indira Devi Dasi. So she gave me this book, and I was a student. So I didn't have much money, or very little money. So I said, look, I can't pay for this book. She said, you give whatever you can. She was very kind. And I got very attracted because I read the Bengali. I said, oh, this is in Bengali text. I must. So I took the book. And I started reading. And that changed my entire life. I gave up my studies, and my wife, good wife, sitting there, she was already pregnant with my first son. And so the decision to give up the studies was quite a serious one, because I was on the family way. My wife was on the family way. I had to take care of her and the family, but yet those words of Srila Prabhupada simply changed my entire notion of human existence. And so I just gave up everything, whatever we had. We had some funds that we donated for the printing of the first German book in Life Comes from Life, I remember. And as soon as I did that, the devotees invited us, why don't you come and join? So we left everything and we went to the Schloss. So my question after reading that book and after giving up everything was still that, have I done the right thing? That was kind of every once in a while would make its presence felt. And I, most of the time, was able to say, yes, definitely. This was the right thing to do. However, I was not convinced. I could not convince myself. It still remained in animated suspension, if you want to call it that way. So my actual purpose for going to India from Germany, it was 76. 75, was to actually see Srila Prabhupada and offer my question at his lotus feet. So we came to Vrindavan. The journey was, as I said, was very adventurous and everything else. So we finally arrived in Vrindavan, where we heard that Srila Prabhupada was soon to come. Wonderful. The Vrindavan temple in those days is not what it is now. In 75, there was a wonderful landscape. There were no structures, just the temple. And right in the middle, from the entrance of the temple, was a fountain of water slowly coming down. And on either side of that were beautiful flowering plants and everything else. So that morning, we heard in the Mangalarati, right after the Mangalarati, that Srila Prabhupada would be coming, and we should be all there to greet him. So after the Japa period and the Guru Puja, greeting the deities, there's after about 7:30 in the morning, we all went out. We all kind of herded and quickly went out to come as close as possible. But then I decided, no, I don't want to be as close as possible. I want to stay far away, and I want to just observe, because the appearance of a pure devotee makes itself felt simply through his emanation, the energy he emanates, the aura he emanates. Of course, not everyone can see the aura. I couldn't see the aura. However, there's an aura. Some do. I couldn't. So I said, I'll remain in the back. And the back means I had an vantage point because it was quite raised. You see, it was sloping gradually down to the main entrance. So I went right at the back, And I waited, and then the car came. The devotees got out, opened the door, and my heart was beating with expectation. So now is the moment that I was waiting for. So Srila Prabhupada stepped out. I mean, it's hard to describe with words. Of course, I can't describe the words of my feeling, that is entirely mine. It just completely lifted me up from this entire mundane dimension to a dimension that I had never known. But simply by seeing Srila Prabhupada, he just floated. He didn't even walk. Like a swan, he had his head up. No wonder the thought came to me that such personalities are known as Paramahansa. And immediately, I said, I don't need to ask. It has been answered. Because my question would have been, Srila Prabhupada, all that you have written in your books, is it really true? Because on the basis of reading your books, my entire life paradigm completely changed. My Weltanschauung, that is how I look at the world, completely changed. And my goal completely changed. Everything about me changed completely just by reading your words, Srila Prabhupada. And this is what I was going to ask him. And I got it answered simply by seeing him as he stepped out of the car. Hare Krishna.
So I'd like to continue on that same topic of how Srila Prabhupada affected people. In 1975 and 74 also, Srila Prabhupada attended Rath Yatra in Golden Gate Park, San Francisco. So maybe some of you have seen pictures. Srila Prabhupada's on the stage, the devotees are having kirtan. He's wearing beautiful white sweater, beautiful red rose garland, and he starts throwing roses out to the crowd. You've seen? The famous video clip. I was in the crowd. So the experience of seeing Srila Prabhupada throwing roses out is very different to what happened when Srila Prabhupada began to dance. He throws roses, then threw the whole bunch, then he put his arms in the air and began to dance.
The famous video.
Famous video.
Yeah.
But what you can't see is that 5,000 people in the audience were overwhelmed with Krishna Bhav, with Krishna Prem. 5,000 people put their hands in the air and began to sing and dance Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The effect, Srila Prabhupada. And there was no Indians there. This is before there was any Indian immigration to America. All Westerners, 5,000 Westerners came just to see Srila Prabhupada. And when he began to dance, they all experienced a real taste for Krishna consciousness. So,
how did you invite them all?
how did?
How did you guys invite all that number of people?
We used to put up, actually I went to jail putting up posters. I was with one devotee. We were putting up posters for Rath Yatra. The police stopped us. Said, show us your ID. So I show my ID. My godbrother didn't have an ID, so they locked us both in jail. Such prejudice, you can't imagine. You can't imagine the prejudice that Western devotees experienced in America trying to push on Krishna consciousness. I was arrested 3 times and jailed 3 times. For what? For this tilak, for this shika, for this dhoti. Period. Anyway, back to the story. Is that okay? Okay. So, the next year, I think 1975, the Back to Godhead magazine was published with a picture of the Rath Yatra cart in Puri. So I was the Sankirtan leader at the time. I said, okay, Matajis, you take one side of the road, Brahmacharis will take the other side of the road. You put this magazine in people's hands, it's all about the festival. We distributed hundreds of Back to Godhead magazines, even to this Sushil Muni, a Jain sannyasi, and what's the guy's name from 3HO? Yogi Bhajan. Yogi Bhajan, Sushil Muni also took Back to Godhead. We cleaned up, we distributed hundreds of Back to Godhead magazines. So we came at the end of the festival, and Srila Prabhupada's cart came. He was riding on Subhadra's cart and stopped. He had his eyes closed, had beautiful yellow chandan on his forehead, wearing a beautiful jasmine garland. And although his eyes were closed, I was standing there looking at him, and my heart was overwhelmed with love for Srila Prabhupada and gratitude for Srila Prabhupada that came to me from his heart to my heart, that I pleased my spiritual master. By this simple thing, distributing his books, I pleased my spiritual master. So this is the effect that Srila Prabhupada had. It's not about bodily relationship. It's not about him touching your head like this nonsense Ramakrishna guy. I gave all my Shakti to my disciple, I don't have any left. This bogus guy. He's still giving his mercy. We shouldn't think our relationship with Srila Prabhupada is based on bodily consideration. Not at all. Not at all. Our relationship is eternal. And you, all of you, Srila Prabhupada said, get more mercy. That the granddaughters, the grandsons get more mercy from the grandfather than the sons. So you can imagine how much we all appreciate what you're doing. How you've come and surrendered your life to the service of Srila Prabhupada. Sacrificed everything to serve Srila Prabhupada. We were like pioneers. We went to jail, we got beaten, we got spit on, had bottles thrown at us, beer, they'd shake up beer and spray beer on us on Harinam Sankirtan. So we were like pioneers. We cut through the forest. We gave the structure to the building. But it's up to you devotees to fill in that structure, to carry on the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as it was presented by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Oh, one other thing I meant to say. Prabhuji was talking about airport. When Srila Prabhupada came in the airport, no security, so we'd meet Prabhupada right when he came out from the plane. So a huge festival, flowers are going everywhere, big kirtans going on, devotees are jumping and dancing. Srila Prabhupada came out and devotees hit the floor, crying, just by seeing him, crying. So a devotee got up from the floor, he looked behind him, and there's 2 businessmen standing there. 3-piece suit, necktie, nice shoes, well-dressed, booted and suited, and they're both crying, seeing Srila Prabhupada. And one janitor came, African-American janitor. That man's a-glowing! That man's a-glowing! He's saying, that man is glowing. They have their way of talking. So he was saying, that man's a-glowing! He's a-glowing! In other words, he's seeing Srila Prabhupada's effulgence. That man is glowing. That man's a-glowing! He's a-glowing! This was the effect Srila Prabhupada had on people just by seeing him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
I'm going to give a short. First time I saw Srila Prabhupada is when I came here in Mayapur. So we came from the airport, the famous airplane trip. So we took those buses, we came here, and we, how is that? We took shower, read fresh tilak, fresh brahmachari dhoti and everything. And Hridayananda Maharaj said, we're going to see Srila Prabhupada. With special darshan, devotees from South America, particularly Brazil. So we are excited. So he took us to the Lotus building, second floor, Prabhupada's room. And he enters the room and told us, wait here. It's kind of like five of us in there. You don't want a troop going. Prabhupada was in the middle of a kind of darshan, some kind of businessman was there, And he was sitting with his leg up. And Hridayananda, he walked in and he waved towards us and said, these are the devotees from Brazil. So Prabhupada, he looked at the door and we stick our heads, through the door frame, just the head, shaved, pure, fresh shaved head. And he broke a smile. He broke a beautiful smile. That was Prabhupada's smile. And it took me a long time. This is not just a happy smile. It took me a long time to meditate on that smile and understand in my heart what that means, that particular smile. Because at that time, it was a faraway place, Brazil, It's kind of hard to come all the way from Mayapur. There was communication, not like WhatsApp that we have now and all those things. There's no internet. So it was a faraway place, once upon a time, a far, far away place, that kind of place, the end of the world. So Prabhupada saw us, and that smile means to me that he sees the mercy of Lord Chaitanya when until to that last place in the world, or one of the last places in the world, like, South America, there was Argentina in there, and the Lord Chaitanya is reaching in the very places in the world, which is very far away. People at that time from Brazil, Argentina, there was maybe Venezuelan in there. So we reached in there. And he was very happy to see the mercy of Lord Chaitanya manifest in that way. That was some time. Well, yeah. So I just want to, I made some notes. I want to kind of refer to it. One quite interesting thing here is, Mayapur, the TOVP, and how the Prabhupada saw the project of Sridham Mayapur. His management in Mayapur was kind of simple. Basically was keep it clean. But not just, keep it clean means it gives, organized cleanliness, and that will be attractive to the people that come here. Because actually, if you go outside the walls of ISKCON and you come back in here, you see we live kind of in a nice bubble. Mayapur is a special place, and that cleanliness don't come, I would say, free. It comes with some management in there. They sweep the roads every day, and they take care of certain things. It's okay. But when Prabhupada used to come in here, he used to go everywhere and look every single room. Like they have the boundary wall. He used to go each room, open the door, what's inside, who's living here or who's not, what's been kept in here. Is that go down? What is in here? Open the trunks. What's inside the trunks. He was very thorough, in seeing what's going on in the ashram. And he used to go, I can see today, if Prabhupada would go around, there's a lot of places for him to see. I don't think he could do in one day, But he would go and see every single corner of the ashram to see that things are being running properly. Like one time, Prabhupada called, I think that I heard the story from Harisari, I hope was there. He called one time, the 1 o'clock call, middle of the night. So Prabhupada ring the bell. He was, in Mayapur, in this room, and Harisari came in, and Prabhupada was, immersed in his deep thoughts. Prabhupada used to go sometimes, and he thinks a lot of things. I don't want to tell how he thinks, but it's understood that he thinks about, the movement, what we're doing, how far to go, how many things to go. And in this sense, he asked Harisari, how this movement, like this, from the get-go, how this movement will go on after I'm not here? Something to that effect. It's kind of a little bit of a shocking question. And of course, he tried to answer to the standard answer, right? We follow instruction, we have your instruction in the books, all those things. But Prabhupada, he waved the hand and he said, no. It's gonna go on by planning and organization. Planning and organization. And that is how you see the strength of planning, the strength of organization. Is this what is going to take us to the next level? So we see here now this Mayapur project. Now I'm not an astrologer, I'm not a seer or anything, but I can infer or have the inference because I saw in the beginning, because when we came here in the beginning, Mayapur was kind of rough. I don't know, it was a kind of, Prasada was only one place you can get, in Slab Kitchen. You got a 9 and you got a 4 o'clock, man. And that was like kitri with kumra, pumpkin, and with the skin. And that's it. And you can corroborate that for me. And if you're lucky, you get the Mahaprasad, the Radha Madhva, I think was 6, 7, 8 o'clock somewhere. The plate comes out. If nobody gets before that, you get a little bit of that, superb Mahaprasad cooking by the Sochirani and the other lady there. That's just wonderful. So it was very austere, but you can see one thing, that because from nothing, something came to be what it is today, and it's very much manifested. So I'm sure, because I can see the trajectory of the slope going up, that this place will keep developing, expanding, until farther in the future. More than we can see right now, more can we imagine. It's going to be amazing developments in here. One point case in point, is the TOVP gets ready, and I'm sure everybody in India, excuse me, we'll come to see this temple. That's 1 billion people, so you divide by 365 days, a few years down the line. It's a lot of people coming every day to see. They must see. They will come to see, the Sahib Mandir or whatever they call. But it's going to be a very place that will become very sought after by all the pilgrims in India that have no other thing to do but go and visit temples and visit, different holy places. They'll come in here. They'll come here in a massive scale that we never imagined. So if you think it's so big now, wait a little bit and you see many more things coming our way, many wonderful things, because the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is such, it keeps growing, it keeps manifesting, and it won't be able to stop by any material arrangement, you see. And this is the future of Sridham Mayapur, you see. It's the future for our young cadre of devotees in here, they will, that's to be the herança, to be the inheritance. I got my translator there. You see, it will be the inheritance of those that are now taking us to the next level, and there'll be the next level, and the next level. It's never going to stop. You see, this never going to stop in the near future. It's going to be expanding in a very wonderful way. So you be prepared. And I just only close with this because it said that Lord Chaitanya movement spread in the 3 words, right? Sarvala Prachar, now Hoibenam, Pritivite. Now Pritivite também could be, all over the universe. Lord Chaitanya is Yoga avatar. He's not Bhumi avatar. You think a little bit about that. He is the avatar for the whole, how much universal real estate, actually, he is the avatar of. I don't know, but mostly more than this planet in here. Because they thought before they thought he was just avatar of India. You see, that's the beginning. That is before we have all the internet, airplanes, jets going around and everything. So they say, he's just the avatar of India. You see? And it turns out he becomes right now the avatar of the world, and every town and village practically have heard of the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Hare Krishna chanting, all these things. And in the future, even we can expand in that, and Lord Chaitanya may fulfill a more wholesome prediction that is going to be beyond this earth and in different places, that many living entities will get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So with that, we have a great, glorious future, and we're part of it. So, we look back a lot, but we should look in the future also and see the wonderful things that are coming our way, which is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya that keeping forever expanding, in a way that is amazing to all the devotees, and giving pleasure to the Lord, to the devotees, and to Srila Prabhupada, that he started this great movement. So, thank you very much. And just how do you preach to aliens? Because from there you find some other living entities, and they are not from this planet. So I already think about that. So the basic mantra is that you're not this body, whatever you're from the earth or you're from another planet. You're not this body. Whatever it is, that is the alien, whatever form the alien have, he still has a soul. And that soul is yearning for the connection with the Supreme Lord. So preaching will be in many levels. Just get ready. Hare Krishna. Next. Are we going to a question and answer anything? Yeah. So I'll be brave in here now and maybe we can have a little bit of a question and answer. You can choose somebody here, you can ask some questions, and we can answer that.
Just a little question. When do you think that will the temple be opening more and more? Are they going to have other ones? Prabhupada is there in one room. I haven't gone up since he was installed. Are they going to be gradually opening it in the next couple of years?
The TOVP?
Yes, sir.
If I'm correct, I asked this question to Braj Vilas, because sometimes I go see my son in there, so he works in there. So I ask, if you're going to live in the Vyasasana, and they said, no, we're going to put in the room it is now. It's a proper room. Matter of fact, it's my understanding that the room is open. We can visit every day and chant some japa with Srila Prabhupada in this room. He's there now in the TOVP, and it was a very, very nice room. We went there, we put the eating there and everything. It was amazing time. We're all together, we're singing very strongly there, such a vibration. So you visit, you go there. It's just halfway the stairs, I think. You don't go all the way to the top. It's halfway. That's a little entrance in there, in the right staircase. And then you go and you have some time, just like you go here in the Lotus building, and you can spend time with Prabhupada Murti in this old room in Srila Prabhupada's quarter in the Lotus building. So the new quarters is there, that in the TOVP. You can get some great association, and just you can have groups, have some friends, and go there and discuss Bhagavad Gita, or have some little bit of a talk in there, of half an hour meeting and chant some japa. It's very nice hangout in there, which is Prabhupada. Very good.
Yeah. I want to ask Rick, it looks like you're preaching a lot in the programs and every day you talk to people. How not to get overwhelmed by the connection that people want to make with you as a devotee? For so many years, I feel tired after 1-2 programs. People want to lodge on, they want to communicate, and it's just overwhelming. Too many people. You have to give yourself. It's very hard. So how do you manage?
That's, thank you for your question, Mataji. That's my happiness. I don't know. I think Mayapur is like a golden cage. Ganga is here, devotees are here, Kirtan is here, Prasadam is here, Radha Madhava, Nishingadev, Panchatattva. What isn't here? Everything's here. Except there's not very much preaching, especially in English. So I live here, but I go out as much as possible to connect with other devotees. Because, let me say this. I was fortunate to attend the initiation ceremony with His Holiness Bhakti Churu Maharaj. A wonderful ceremony. And when he announced that, it was a 4-hour drive for me to go to my friend's house for his initiation. But when he announced this devotee's name, Shyam Giridhari, the whole room was Haribol! So I had a very nice discussion with Bhakti Churu Maharaj, His Holiness. So he said, Sarvadek, we should make you a guru. I said, no. Because I have a lifetime of service serving my godbrother's disciples. Because some of my godbrothers have 50,000 disciples, 30,000 disciples, 40,000 disciples. Who's there to spend time with him? This is my highest happiness in life. I have a lifetime. Whatever's left in my life is meant for this. For serving the disciples of my godbrothers. Because especially if someone's a brahmachari, they're living in the temple, they get lots of attention. They're out preaching, they're collecting, they're distributing books, they get lots of attention. But when they leave the temple and get married, as many of them do, who's there for them? Who's there to help them navigate the complexities of Grihastha ashram? That's my happiness. And that nourishes me. It doesn't drain me. Rather, it nourishes me. So I live here in Mayapur to charge my batteries, to try and cleanse my own heart, to make what I say useful to them, to make it spiritually relevant for them. But this is my highest happiness, to go out and spend time with these amazing devotees, your generation of devotees. Because if I love my spiritual master, if I have any feeling for Srila Prabhupada, how much do I love the people that have surrendered their lives to serve him? So this isn't a drain for me. This is, sometimes it's a drain physically, but spiritually it's my highest happiness. One year, in 2017, we did 220 programs in 7 weeks. So my friend Divyanam Prabhu, he's staying here, he's a disciple. We just spent the afternoon, and I probably still have Ganga mud in my head. We were having a big Ganga mud fight, and Ganga with his kids. Such blissful association. So he was there at Punjabi Bagh ISKCON, one of the best temples in all of ISKCON, our Punjabi Bagh Center in Delhi. So he sees me. We're starting preaching at 5 o'clock in the morning, coming home at midnight, So he says, Sarva, are you okay? I said, Prabhu, I'm very tired, but very blissful, because this is my highest happiness. It's not a drain. It nourishes my soul to serve devotees of your generation, to push them forward to Srila Prabhupada. Not a drain. It's a great happiness in my life. Thank you for your question. I could tell some stories about Srila Prabhupada's relationship with the deity. There's 3 beautiful stories about his relationship with it. We read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Pratima nahi tumi sakshat Brajendra Nandana, in this beautiful story of Sakshi Gopal, that you're not a deity, you're directly the son of Nanda Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada was a living example of this. The story was told by my esteemed godbrother Amiyatma Prabhu. Amiyatma Prabhu is very short in stature. Srila Prabhupada was what, 5'2"? So he's the same height as Srila Prabhupada. And he was coming to Los Angeles. Amiyatma thought, I have a plan. I'm going to meet Srila Prabhupada at the sidewalk. I'm going to offer him flowers. But the devotee said, Prabhu, there's so much work to do. Prabhupada's coming. We have service for you. Okay. He surrendered to the service. And then he thought, I'll meet Prabhupada in the temple room. When he comes in the temple room, Prabhu, we still have service. Prabhupada's coming, Prabhupada's coming. Prabhupada came, 100 devotees poured into the Los Angeles temple room. Next thing he knows, he's standing right next to Srila Prabhupada. Practically speaking, cheek to cheek. He had to push the devotees back so he didn't bump into Srila Prabhupada. This was Lord's arrangement for his surrendered attitude. So Srila Prabhupada took Chanamrita and he's standing in front of Rukmini Dwarkadish. And he thought, now I'll hear Srila Prabhupada's prayer. It wasn't a prayer. He's speaking with Dwarkadish. And he's saying to Dwarkadish, my Lord, are they offering you an outfit like this every day? Do you enjoy this outfit? Silence. Very good. Are they offering outfit like this every day for you? Nice, beautiful outfit? Silence. Very good. And are they offering you nice bhoga? Every day they're getting nice offering? Silence. Very good, very good. Are you enjoying the offering? Silence. Very nice. He's talking with Dwarkadish. And Dwarkadish is answering his question. And the day came, because Los Angeles Temple used to be the world headquarters. Now Mayapur is world headquarters, but at that time in early 70s, Los Angeles Temple was the world headquarters. So Dwarkadish asked Prabhupada, I want you to leave. Srila Prabhupada said, no. This is Ragamarg. Not everyone agrees with Krishna in Ragamarg. He had an argument with Krishna. He said, I don't want to go. We're making devotees. Book distribution is going on. This is a brand new temple. People are coming. Sunday feast is going on. Harinam Sankirtan is going on. I want to stay. Dwarkadish said, no, you go to India and preach in India. What is the result? Juhu, Vrindavan, Mayapur. It all began with Dwarkadish instructed Srila Prabhupada, you go to India and preach. And many of you are the result of Dwarkadish's order. Another time, Srila Prabhupada came into the old temple room, which is now a Fate Museum. He'd walk, the temple room was about as big as this room, maybe a little longer. He would come in the back door and go to the front of the altar, take Shanamrita, do Dandavat, sit down, Vyasasan, and give class. So he walked a few steps into the temple and stopped. And he said, there's something in Krishna's eye. And these are the small Utsav deities, Radha Dwarkanath. He said, there's something, Prabhuji knows, he's from my esteemed godbrother, Sarvabhauma Prabhu. He said, there's something in Krishna's eye. So the Bajraya gets right up and he looks. No, Srila Prabhupada, there's nothing in Krishna. There is something in Krishna's eye. So Bajraya again looks very, very carefully and sees a tiny fleck of tilak. That the Bajraya, because they use the tilak to polish the brass murti. Tiny little fleck of tilak was in Krishna. So what is happening? Can Prabhupada see? He can't see. Krishna saying, your sishya, your disciple has not done a good job. You please fix this. Another time, His Holiness Sachinanda Maharaj tells this story. He was in maybe Berlin temple or I don't know, anyway, one of the German temples. And he was a new devotee, new bhakta, and he was having very hard time in his spiritual life. His old girlfriend was calling him up, "Oh, I miss you." And not only that, his father was on his deathbed. So there was a tradition in the family that if someone is dying and they make some dying wish, you're obliged to follow that wish. So I thought, if I go to see my father, he'll say, "Leave ISKCON, leave Hare Krishna. How can I go see him? But he's dying. How can I not go see him?" So this turbulence is going on in his mind, and his service was to wash the deity plates. As we see every morning, before we greet the deities, the Balya Bhog is made. They take the plate off the altar, the plates are clean, curtains open, Govindam Adipurusham. Prabhupada came to the temple. He was standing in front of the deities, and he said, "Who is washing Krishna's plate?" The temple president was standing next to him. "Who is washing Krishna's plate? They're dirty." How did he know? Same thing, Krishna is complaining. Your Sishya is not, because his mind is so distracted by what's going on in his life at that time, that he's just breezing through, he's not paying attention, his mind's somewhere else, he's just rinsing them off and not doing. Krishna is complaining. You please do something about this. He's your disciple, you please do something. This was the relationship Srila Prabhupada had with the deity. He's not a deity, Sakshat Brajendra Nandana. He is Krishna directly. If we have eyes to see, we will see. Hare Krishna. So you say something.
What should I say?
Anything. You had so much, Prabhuji had so much association with Srila Prabhupada. He did such amazing translation work. He would come into Prabhupada's room every day, and Prabhupada would give him direct instruction how to translate books, and so much, more than any of us, I think, he had association with Srila Prabhupada. So you please say something.
I think now is a question and answer session.
Okay, I see.
Is there a deity of Lakshmi Narasimha in Germany?
Lakshmi Nrsimha. Yes. Actually, no. They have Prahlad Nrsimha.
And how did it manifest?
Well, it was, the deity was not self-manifest. And they went to South India to a Stapati. And according to the rules and regulations of Stapatya, and they made this deity, and then they installed that.
Actually, they said they weren't going to do it.
Well, they were not going to do it because,
It was Ugra Nrsimha.
yes. Yeah.
In South India.
Germany?
Yeah. In Germany, yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about here in Mayapur.
No.
Oh.
But there also, because the Prahlad Nrsimha is always with Prahlad Maharaj standing next to Nrsimhadev and offering his prayers. That's the actual day. There are, in Nrsimha worship, there are three different types of worship. One is Ugra Nrsimhadev, where he appears out of the pillar. There's Lakshmi Nrsimhadev, and then there's Shanta Nrsimhadev. The Shanta Nrsimha deity is with Prahlad Maharaj, but Prahlad Maharaj is standing next to him with folded hands, offering him prayers. But in those days we had someone who seemed to know better than everyone. So he said, no, we want Prahlad to be sitting on his lap. So at that time they refused. They didn't want to do that because that's not at all traditional. Somehow or the other, our god brother Atma Tattva, who was dealing with the whole Nishingadev deity in South India, somehow he was able to convince, and they then actually agreed, but they requested that they should not be mentioned, that it was done by them. Yeah. So that's there. Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about the translation work? How much Srila Prabhupada appreciated the translation work?
The translation work. I mean, Srila Prabhupada was extremely concerned about translating the works of other acharyas, Goswamis especially. He wanted to. He would often say that after he had completed the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he did that first, and then he went back to Srimad Bhagavatam. But there was an actual plan behind that, because somehow or the other, Srila Prabhupada assumed that he would be leaving earlier than he actually did. And therefore, he wanted to complete Chaitanya Charitamrita first. One of the reasons for Chaitanya Charitamrita, he would tell me, is that because his spiritual master had a discussion with one of his godbrothers in Kolkata. I mean, that was in the early 20th century, 1930, 31, like that. So this scholar, he was a scholar actually, he said that, I've heard that the Vaishnavas, because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, considers Srimad Bhagavatam to be the most important text. And if there was only one book one could save in a situation of a real, calamitous situation of whatever, everything was collapsing and one had to just carry away just one book. What book would that be? What scripture would that be? So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said Chaitanya Charitamrita. And later on in a conversation, Srila Prabhupada wanted to clarify why was this choice of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita over Srimad Bhagavatam, although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually said that Bhakti, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Puran. And whatever is outside Srimad Bhagavatam is unacceptable. However, in that particular conversation, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada was making the point that originally the Srimad Bhagavatam was written before one time, before Narad Muni appeared on the scene. Srila Vyasadeva had written all the Puranas. But then after, as we know, we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he was feeling despondent. Srila Vyasadeva was feeling despondent. even after having completed such a, humongous work, extraordinary literary work. So then Srila Narad Muni told him that you have described everything, that's fine, but you have not described the wonderful pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Didn't focus on it. You composed the Srimad Bhagavatam like all the other Sattvic Purans, which propagate the four goals of human life: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. But Krishna's pastimes and prem was not preeminently presented. So then he was instructed by his spiritual master, Srila Narad Muni, to return to his ashram, Samprasa, and meditate. The Lord appeared to him, to Srila Vyasadeva, and revealed both the spiritual as well as the material world, and everything, all the tattvas and principles and truths. Then he composed for the second time in a more full manner, so much so that the Srimad Bhagavatam became the sound representative of Shri Krishna. However, even in this second edition, if you want to put it, there was slight inclusion of dharma, artha, and kama, and moksha. Whereas in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's not even a trace of it. It has taken the entire essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam, excluding the dharma, artha, kama, moksha aspects of that particular king of scriptures. And therefore, there was absolutely no chance of anyone who sincerely reads under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master in the parampara of the Goswamis will never be misled or deviate from the path of prema. And it is therefore that Srila Prabhupada first completed the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then he went back to Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, my whatever little exchanges I had, Srila Prabhupada wanted me to, you see, in those days BBT, Bengali BBT was also headquartered in Mumbai, and it was being printed from there. Srila Prabhupada didn't like that because the Bengali scripture itself, like Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and so many other Bengali scriptures, is voluminous. So he wanted that the Bengali BBT establish itself in Mayapur. So in '76, I was in Mumbai, and he told me that I should start BBT here in Mayapur. I came here, and somehow, I don't remember the exact context, but I came to know that I knew that before, that it was in Prabhupada's biography. Sometimes he would speak about it. So 1952 to 1956, Srila Prabhupada was the contributing editor to the spiritual monthly magazine being published from Keshavji Gaudiya Math, that is Srila Bhakti Pragan Keshav Goswami Maharaj's mutt in Mathura. And what they had done is they had kept, they had kept all the editions of that. So for the 4 years that Srila Prabhupada was a contributing editor, his articles were there included. So I went over to the Devananda Gaudiya Mutt and I requested the librarian to, and he took all of them and I compiled them in a book which we called it Vairagya Vidya. So Prabhupada was very, very happy. Yeah? So he said, you should translate this.
Did you translate it? Did you end up translating it into English?
It was in Bengali.
Understood.
It was in Bengali, it was
Did you translate it?
Yes, I translated it. And it was during this translation session that I would have to come to Srila Prabhupada. Mostly it was before his lunchtime. And read to him what I had translated. And he had, at that time, instructed Satsarup Maharaj, at that time he was Satsarup Maharaj, to do the editing. So the three of us, I would be sitting, I would be reading what I had translated, and Srila Prabhupada would hear and make corrections and things like that. So this went on for some time. But amazing thing was, he always insisted that you should not translate literary, word to word. He didn't appreciate that. I tried to do that in the beginning because I wanted to be very chaste and not speculate, but he actually did not favor that. He said, no, you read, you understand, and only after you have understood on your own words, you write. On your own words. Don't use my words, because my audience was completely different. And the language is different. So the spirit of the language is also different. Well, it has been published by BBT. It's called Wisdom Through Renunciation. Wisdom Through Renunciation. That's the translation. Yes?
Can you please say which quality of Srila Prabhupada made you love him and dedicate him your life?
Which quality of Srila Prabhupada?
Most attractive to you and made you love him and follow him and dedicate him life?
Mataji, thank you for asking this question, but I beat myself every day on the head, because when I had this wonderful opportunity to associate with a personality of the stature of Srila Prabhupada, I was such a neophyte. I couldn't recognize his transcendental qualities. I mean, I was in awe and reverence because he's my spiritual master. And it's a tradition that one should be very respectful, and we heard in lectures, guru means very heavy, and this, that, and the other. So I was in awe and reverence, but now, in retrospect, by his grace alone, I'm able to realize his actual personality, his actual spiritual stature. But at that moment I could not. And you see, after all, the Srimad Bhagavatam also says that a neophyte cannot recognize a devotee. He's so busy worshipping and he's so completely engrossed in himself as one of the best devotee. Archayamiva haray pujascha shraddha ehate na tad bhakteshu channeshu svabhakta prakrita smrita. So the definition of a neophyte is that he is worshipping the Supreme Lord with faith, firm faith. But he does not have any respect, does not show any respect for anyone, not even to devotees. Because he thinks he's the best devotee of all. Because I'm worshipping the Lord with so much of reverence and faith. So that was my position. I could not. But the more I realize that, shall I say, Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada's character, his qualities, they take on a completely different spiritual mood. Now I can recognize his mood more. I mean, the 26 qualities are a general description of a pure devotee. Sadhubhushanam. But every single acharya has a specific mood. And to that devotee who is revealed this mood is certainly accepted by Krishna. Because without the mercy of a pure devotee is impossible. Chanting, hearing, reading, observing Ekadasi, taking Ganga Snan, all these sadhans, they are externals. They are external. Unless one takes the internal course, the chanting will remain namaparad. Hearing will be unconcentrated. Upavas would be simply for the sake of observing Ekadasi. What we need to know is that actually Srila Prabhupada was completely a person who was devoid of any false ego. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, what does Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami say? That I am the worst. I'm no better than a worm in the stool. Anyone who hears or chants my name will lose all piety. Now, he wasn't exaggerating.
Prabhuji, maybe you would like to answer also. Maybe Prabhuji can answer the same question also. She's asking a question about our experience of Srila Prabhupada, his quality in Srila Prabhupada that endeared us to him.
May I finish? Oh, you want to...
I think Prabhu hasn't had a chance to speak.
But the question was asked to me. Okay, you can go ahead.
No, I'm saying Prabhu.
You finish?
It's okay.
Okay. Let's go to that question again.
What was the quality that makes you love Srila Prabhupada more?
Well, that's a hard one because many of those qualities, with your permission, please. With your permission, let me speak. So thank you so much. Is the quality of compassion. Srila Prabhupada was very compassionate to the devotees. His compassion, actually, Srila Prabhupada went to America to give the Bhagavatam out. And then in the process, he made temples, because you read the Bhagavatam, you become a devotee, and you become a devotee, you need a place to do your devotion. So you need a temple, the activities of the temple. And of course, since you're a devotee, what kind of activity we do, we propagate that thing, the very thing that made us devotees. So we preach. So the idea of Srila Prabhupada is giving the Bhagavatam to the world. And of course, the first attempt was done by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He sent to McGill University, he sent some copy of his books, actually a copy of a book, and was an attempt to generate the interest. And so Prabhupada came with his trunk full of Bhagavatam to work and expand, his translation. It took him a long time to do, like 3 books. I think three cantos, It took him, But then when the devotees came and helped him, it really went fast. And, Prabhu here explained, he did the Chaitanya Charitamrita also. But it was the mission of Prabhupada, one of the compassion, but that compassion was the reflection of the compassion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because only compassion, I think, can save us in this Kali Yuga. I don't think we have any kind of qualification that can, give us any head start over anybody. You see, that's compassion from the devotee of the caliber of Srila Prabhupada. Personally, I see Srila Prabhupada incomparable to Vyasadeva. I'm not comparable. I'm not seeing which one is, I feel that he came, he wrote the Bhagavatam the way he did. He not just wrote it, he presented in a beautiful way. Now, if you actually hold the book in your hand, you notice it's a beautiful book, and it's well done. It's very how do you call that? It's for the university level, and also it's for the layman. You see, it's very erudite presentation with the Sanskrit word by word. So what Prabhupada was doing, and actually we go back to Mayapur, is to give the credibility of the sanctity movement of Sri Chaitanya. You see, because the people to take the process of Krishna consciousness, the credibility of the process. At one point, of course, we saw Prabhupada, we joined. I joined because it was the right thing to do. Somebody, come here and say, sleep here. Okay, well, let's go out, take this bag, go to sleep some books. Yeah. And like that, it was, I remember, my first Sunday feast, I was eating quietly. My family is Italian. You eat quietly. Don't talk. Quando mangia non si parla. But I was eating, and this devotee sit in front of me, and he was talking and talking. I said, hey, why is talking so much, you know? And then at one point, he's talking about this personality with 4 arms. And that is the only time I raised my head and said, how do you know he has 4 arms? I said, no, we heard from the authorities. Okay. That sounds good answer to me. So anyway, so this compassion, that is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya reflecting Prabhupada, that is more like the Marines, no man left behind. Right? Unless like we're super rascal, and we have some devotees that fell in that category. We're not going to mention them here. But all of us, we are Prabhupada's man, and he won't leave us behind. Lord Chaitanya won't leave us behind. He'll be there with us all the way. And there's many stories that one of the things that I love to hear, right in the beginning of my budging devotional life, a devotee told me, see, Krishna is so merciful. And he put a hand like this and put a hand like holding a nail. If you put one nail for Krishna, Krishna will never forget. Oh, such an impression he made on me. Because I was thinking, I can put a nail in the wall. I can do that. You see, I was so happy. Imagine if I do more things, then Krishna will be even more happy. So he'll be very happy with me. So in this way, this very way to assimilate something very complex like the Vedic knowledge, Prabhupada made accessible to us. That is his compassion. The way he wrote the books, and then he spoke to us in a way we can apply that transcendental knowledge, a complex, sophisticated knowledge, to our day-to-day activities, and not only change our life, but change the life of those around us, and make an impact actually in the world as we know. So that is the great compassion of Lord Chaitanya, and it's just keep going. As I understand, we chant of the holy name is a pure vibration. So when you say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, that sound keeps going. Now we cannot hear, but that sound keeps going. It keeps going in the ether. It purifies the ether. And as a perfect Brahmana, Srila Prabhupada, he's changing the world. He's changing the world by changing the consciousness. You want to move matter, you change consciousness that is moving that matter, and then it becomes possible. You see, just like the proverbial tree. You want to water that tree, you don't go each leaf, you go in the root of that tree, and by watering that root, the whole tree gets nourishment. So if you want to move matter or move consciousness, that is mercy matter, we change the consciousness by uplifting it. And Prabhupada has the perfect formula. See, it's a process that is very simple but sophisticated. And Prabhupada said, this is complicated for the complicated and it's simple for the simple. So whatever you are, you got it. And taking prasad, the association of the devotees, actually just finalizing here, every activity we do is sufficient for liberation. If you just worship Tulsi, she's so powerful, if you just read the Bhagavatam, if you just live in the holy place, if you just chanting samsara prayers or worship the Guru, each individual activity like that is sufficient for liberation. Imagine you put them all together, it does have a punch, even for us, living in this material world. So we're very fortunate, and then we're keeping that fortune by actually sharing that fortune. And actually, going back to a little bit, about Mayapur, if you feel your existence in here is somehow that is, well, not doubt, but that is, oh, should I be able to stay here? How the number one survival mode in here, that if you want to stay in Mayapur, you get the blessings of Mayapur by serving the devotees here in Mayapur. And that's a lot of service to be doing to the devotees. For amazing thing is that some of the devotees, now we see some of the devotees, they feel lonely. They feel, no, somebody's not paying attention to me, for whatever reasons. So when you befriend a devotee without asking, you see, and you engaged in conversation and extend your friendship, you see, in a positive way, you see, you become, Mayapur will keep you in here. Why are not going to keep you here? This Mayapur, it's a personality. You keep you in here because you're doing the work of Sridham Mayapur. You're keeping other people here. So I keep this one because it's keeping the other ones in here. See, he's serving them. That's a way, for sure, way to keep ourselves in the Holy Dham. He's serving the devotees in here in the Holy Dham, and there's a lot of things to do. You see that for the devotees in general. So you please give me your blessings for all of us in here. We still survive at the mercy of the devotees, and your blessings. That's something we hanker for. Any more questions?
We have just a couple of minutes. We have just a couple of minutes.
Couple minutes. Taratari. Who the question goes to?
Or three of you.
Three of us, okay.
There was a discussion in a similar meeting some time ago about whether to mention Srila Prabhupada as an avatar, and the answer was given by Gopipadan Prabhu that we should not. But being the person who was absorbed in so many literatures, Prabhu here for translating, we all know Srila Prabhupada is a Sattva's avatar already, we know that, otherwise how can he accomplish what he has done? So, when do you think, after how many generations, we get to see him as fully fledged, recognized avatar?
Let's go 1, 2, 3. I just want to say something. Lord Chaitanya, he was Yuga Avatar. He never advertised himself as such, just like a devotee, that trying to reach Krishna. And Prabhupada, his power in being a Sattva Avatar, I think instead of we pushing to that be recognized, you'll be naturally recognized when the time comes. Right now we want to push Prabhupada as someone who is really empowered to do what you have done, because by the works we can see. It's not like super secret. Eventually it will come to a point that you'll be naturally recognized. We don't have to push for that. Okay?
Nice question, Mataji. Briefly, we should understand what is Shakti Vaishavatar. He is Jiva soul. And unless devotees are very fixed in this understanding, before we know it, in a few generations, we'll see Prabhupada with a peacock feather on his head. So we should be very careful not to deify him, make him as like God. He's empowered representative of God. So there's no question of that. His godbrothers acknowledge Yajnavalkya Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. Many devotees acknowledge his contribution is extraordinary. So Shakti Vaishavatar, but understand what Shakti Vaishavatar means. He has the Avesh, the blessing of Nityananda to spread Krishna. It's impossible for anyone else to do what Prabhupada did. Completely impossible. So we should not minimize, but we should glorify appropriately. Not minimize and not over-glorify.
Go ahead.
She's asking all of us. Prabhupada.
Well, if we think that avatar is the highest rank that we can offer someone like Srila Prabhupada, you see, an avatar is one who works wonders outside, externally, in public. And his works include that. What is very impressive in what he has been able to accomplish. However, what is, for a pure devotee, what is actually for those who understand who a pure devotee is, will be concentrating not to receive the mercies as per se, as an avatar, but as a pure devotee whose devotion completely attracts Krishna fully. Krishna becomes fully attracted by the devotion of someone, not necessarily by his stupendous work. There's a lot of work that can... you see, any of these principles when we talk about, there's always has to be, according to my understanding, an example to understand this concept a little better. Lord Brahma, he's an avatar, guna avatar. Now, after he had stolen the calves and the cowherd boys, and he realizes his mistake, he wants to beg forgiveness, so he goes to Dwaraka. And there he stopped at the gate by the gatekeeper, said, "You have no entry, who are you?" He was surprised. "I have 4 heads and these people don't even understand who I am." So he said, "Who may we say is there?" So he said, "Please go and say, I am Brahma, the first created being who was born on a lotus." They go back and they go tell Krishna, "Come back." So, okay, you come in. So he's given a place to sit, very respectful. At that time, the Lord raises his hand, and hundreds, hordes of Brahma with different heights, some with 8, some with 16, some with 32, some with 64, and the multiples, they all come flying in their Hansa. The 4-headed Brahma is full, completely amazed. So the point here is, of course, they come and they said, "My Lord, what do you want?" I said, "No, I just wanted to know if everything was all right in your universe." Each Brahma is the Lord of a particular universe. So if everything was fine, "Yes, my Lord, by your grace, everything is fine." So then Lord Brahma realizes that actually my creating this universe, this particular universe where we are living right now, is secondary. It is not that quality in me which is unique. So what is that quality in me which is unique? And then he understands that the 4 shlokas that he was given originally as the Chatushlokas, which forms the seed of the Srimad Bhagavatam, these 4 shlokas he gave to his Manasaputra, Devarshi Narad, who then in turn gives it to Two minutes. All right. Lord Krishna then said, he asked Lord Krishna, why do you need? You're completely self-sufficient, Atma Ram. There's no need for you to create this. What is the need? So I'm just making it very short. It's actually a beautiful conversation. You'd find that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He says that I have created this universe because I want to exchange love with all these living entities and myself, which I never experience. It is always fresh, it is always new, it is unique, each and every individual. So he realized it is his love, prema, that Krishna is actually desiring. So, I could not finish what I wanted to say before, I was interrupted, was that this unique feature in Srila Prabhupada is compassion, as he says, otherwise, but compassion is general. Krishna, every acharya has compassion. Krishna prasade paye bhakti lata peej. Krishna prasad. All the acharyas are the embodiment of Krishna prasad. But what Prabhupada is his love for Krishna. And that unique love for Krishna he is able to give to us, if we want it. Because prem, that is devotion, must be received from a pure devotee. Otherwise, it is not possible to develop devotion, pure devotion, on our own merit. Not possible. And that is what Srila Prabhupada was giving. That is his unique feature. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhus. Mataji, Sarvadrik Prabhu, Sarvabhavana Prabhu, Bhagavatamrita Prabhu, Mother Subhangi for coming. Thank you. And we will ask our esteemed guests if they would mind coming to the back of the room and in the spirit of Srila Prabhupada distributing prasadam to all of the devotees that are here. We would be very grateful if you would do that. There's plates at the back, so if you can make your way to the back. And there will be a YouTube video link coming out in a few days, which will be posted to the forum, to some WhatsApp groups, and to my Facebook page. So thank you all for coming. A big Haribol, please. Haribol! Thank you. Hare Krishna.